Hello everyone, Brian Miller here for StarWarsNewsNet.com, and this is your weekly roundup for Saturday, March 25th, 2023. During a Disney investors call in 2020, Kathleen Kennedy announced the Disney Plus shows would all culminate in a climactic story event. It's been radio silence concerning that announcement until now. In a recent interview with The Wrap, Dave Filoni confirmed that the massive crossover event is still happening. From a certain point of view, it could. It could build to a climactic thing, and The Mandalorian could still go on. It's not necessarily an either-or, is it? It's an interesting way to think about it. I tend to think, as we've been working on The Mandalorian, and then writing Ahsoka, and then John Watts came in with Skeleton Crew, there's an entire time period that is post-Return of the Jedi. And I look at that time period, which, before The Force Awakens, is around 30 years of time. When you look at the original trilogy, it's a much less significant amount of time that those three movies take place in. And so, what I like is that we're really building very slowly an ecosystem of characters and politics and events in the post-Return of the Jedi time period. And that may or may not expand in a bigger way as we add more shows to it and add more characters to it. Filoni went on to add, the good thing is that we're all talking creatively together about where these stories are all going. And I love whiteboards. And I whiteboard everything and have timelines. They always start back with The Phantom Menace, and they always go out to The Rise of Skywalker. I have all these slots in between and where everybody's doing everything. So I can look at it all and commiserate with Kathy on what's going on here, what's going on there. It's very fun. I think that the reality of there being a big event in this time period is very real, is all I would say to that. But yes, if John wanted to keep making Mandalorian stories, as long as he does not get bumped off in said Titanic event, then they, I suppose, could continue. There doesn't seem to be any lack of interest in Grogu and Mando, that's for sure. The general consensus right now is that this crossover event will end up being a canon retelling of the Heir to the Empire novels written by Timothy Zahn that saw Grand Admiral Thrawn rise up as the new big baddie after the fall of the Empire. Obviously, we have no idea when that event will take place, so for now, all we can do is enjoy the ride with The Mandalorian and later this year, Ahsoka. Celebration 2023 is now less than 2 weeks away, and the hype for this year's convention is only growing stronger. The rumor mill right now is that we're not getting 1 or 2 films announced, but 3. This is per reporter Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic with Jeff and John. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's get started. First off, Damon Lindelof is no longer attached to write a Star Wars movie. This comes just days after he confirmed that he was indeed working on one. According to Snyder, Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson were blindsided by Kathleen Kennedy's hiring of Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy as the director for their film. This is especially concerning because, from all accounts, it was Lindelof who brought the idea to Lucasfilm, and who was likely going to be a producer or executive producer on the project, essentially acting as the primary overseer. Co-writers and director may have had clashes, according to both Jeff and co-host John Roca's sources, which eventually led to the scribe's departure from the project. Apparently, Lucasfilm was ready for that move, as they had Stephen Knight ready to pick up the project once the two turned in the draft, which, according to Snyder, wasn't in a very good place. It looks like that will eventually not matter, as Knight will be putting his own footprint on it. But why the rush? Well, Snyder hears that Kathleen Kennedy is especially keen on putting out a film by 2025 because Disney has told her that her job depends on whether she meets that deadline or not. Of course, this might directly contradict what some of us have been thinking for a while, that she will be leaving the company this summer after Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny premieres in theaters. But that's been speculative for the most part. The other half of this story concerns Celebration and the announcements of upcoming films. Snyder is hearing that 3 new films are being announced at Celebration in 2 weeks. The likely candidates for these 3 films are from Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Sean Levy, and Taika Waititi, with Obaid-Chinoy's film being set for a December 2025 release date. Right now, all we can do is speculate on what these films will be, but all will be made clear in just a couple of weeks. With just over a month until release, EA has dropped the final trailer for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, giving us our first good look at the story for the game, along with some more gameplay. But with this trailer, we got a tease of this game's antagonist, an ancient Jedi Master who isn't too happy with Cal and the Jedi Order for allowing the galaxy to fall to the Galactic Empire. We also got some great shots and looks at characters we know and love from the first game, including Seer, Marin, and Grease rocking his new prosthetic arm. What's the story there? Go check out Sam Magg's novel, Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars, and get caught up on the crew's story before delving into this game on April 28th. And finally, we've got some new canon material for you this week. The 14th episode of The Bad Batch, titled Tipping Point, released on Wednesday, alongside Chapter 20 of The Mandalorian, titled The Foundling. As far as comics, we got one issue, Darth Vader 32. Reviews for those entries into the canon timeline can be found on our website. And that does it for your Newsnet Weekly Roundup. All of these stories and more can be found in greater detail at StarWarsNewsNet.com. Don't forget to check back regularly for updates and breaking news out of the Star Wars universe. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow me on Twitter at BrianMiller1138 and catch me each week on my show, the Star Wars Canon Podcast. Until next week, may the Force be with you.